Terry, what's our topic, sir?
Oh, I put it in there. Does God want you to get vaccinated? I had some personal experience over the break with this.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I can dig it.
But we already talked about it.
Did we?
We're going to talk about it again in more detail.
Did we talk? What did we
did about the vaccine?
Yeah,
but it wasn't a particular topic. You know,
I remember talking about it on the other podcast, but not.
You remember it was the one where Terry couldn't come, and you had just talked about it on your other podcast, and so we did it here.
Well, we're gonna do round two because now we got
Terry wasn't here.
We got new info now.
I don't remember. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Wow.
Guess we'll do it twice. Rudy doesn't even remember. You remember, Janessa, don't you? When we did the vaccination talk?
Look, and you trying to blame it on me like, look, Rudy don't even remember. None of us do. Okay.
You don't remember because you made the comment about, and you're probably the same comment today about how you weren't going to get vaccinated. The Lord has kept you before having unprotected sex and not wearing a condom, so not getting the vaccine.
Who said that?
I mean,
Rudy.
I do remember saying it, but I don't remember like us having a topic of should we get vaccinated or not. I don't.
No, tripping.
What episode?
Well, good. Then we'll do a part two. How about that?
Okay. Well, yeah.
Nobody's saying it didn't. Nobody's saying it didn't happen.
They are.
Well, for some reason,
they're saying they don't remember.
I mean, if we get to talking about it, and then this all does sound like familiar, then I'll apologize, Kelly. But right now, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't remember. It's not. It doesn't seem like a full.
Well, not saying I don't remember isn't saying like it didn't happen.
Let's see.
I mean,
it's just saying I don't remember.
Even though we technically can't the video live because we're on Zoom.
That's fine.
Boom shakalaka.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Vaccine versus the blood of Jesus.
Let's kick it. Part two.
I mean, I do kind of remember that title, but either way,
from October 5th. So now, like I said, we got some more information now. We're a little further in part two.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
I hope y'all got more information because I'm probably still at
the
place. Either way, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Worst Ones podcast. We are PK's preacher's kids out here making our sanctified parent proud with our sins. That's our new slogan. I made all that right now. My name is Rudy Wilson. We have Kellie Lee, Terry Wayne, Janessa Rowland. This is the second episode of the new season, the second season. We are now in 2022. The last episode you watched, you can see we kind of let the cat out the bag that we pre-recorded it, but we act like it was 2022. So Reese's birthday really is 10 days away now, or whatever it was. Because that we act like it was. So that was the whole thing. If you haven't watched the episode, go back and do it. Either way, how's everybody here doing? Janessa, let's start with you. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. How was your holiday?
It started off well. It kind of went downhill, and then it, kind of ended on a good note, and then it kind of took a turn today. But it was very relaxing, I will say. And I'm sure Terry and Kelly, y'all can speak to this, but a lot of my family members got COVID over the holiday break. And even I got sick, but I didn't have COVID. I thought I did. I took like 3 tests and they were all negative. And I had to keep reminding myself, like, there is the common cold and there is the flu, there is strep,
whatever.
Other stuff. So I don't know what I had, but I was sick. My family was sick. So for Christmas, we did not meet in person, which was kind of hard because last year I had COVID right before Christmas. Like my quarantine ended Christmas Eve, like at midnight. So it was kind of emotionally a roller coaster to have 2 Christmases kind of like awkward, not meeting. But it is what it is. And then because of that, like, I don't know about y'all, but I had friends, just like 20 friends basically had COVID the same time. And so it was just like, you know, we had planned to hang out and, oh, we're going to go here. Let's go ice skating. And like all of that was just shut down. I stayed at my house. I did curbside pickup for everything, you know. So that's kind of how my break went. In terms of today, I found out I have to have like an emergency tooth procedure done tomorrow that I'm not looking forward to. So add me to the prayer list, friends. But other than that, school started back today, work started back today.
A lot happened today.
Yeah, it really did.
I was about to say, I'm like, I don't know if we should let her go first. This was a rough start.
It's a lot, y'all.
There's a lot of school systems that are going back to. There's a lot of school systems that are going back to virtual learning. Were you a fan of that or no?
For me?
Yeah, you said school started.
Oh well, I was virtual the whole time. I've never been as type of thingy, so this is norm for me. But I wish they would push back virtual start. That's asking for too much, huh?
Well, I had heard, the reason I mentioned is I had heard that Atlanta went back to virtual learning.
Oh, well.
Kellie's muted though, so.
Oh, sorry.
Am I muted? We're talking about colleges and universities or K through 12.
I had read that standard K through 12 had gone back to virtual learning in Atlanta.
For the most part, right now, we are virtual learner.
Kellie, you think it's gonna be extended or this y'all going on Monday?
So for my county right now, the kids are expected to come back Monday. They haven't said anything else. I went back to the building today. So teachers for my county, teachers and educators are working from the building. Students are at home. So we were at home Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday we came back into the building. And so, and they do that, I guess, because the assumption of, you know, most teachers have their own classrooms, most people have their own office, so you can kind of social distance. But yeah, but I'm hoping that they extend it, but it depends on what true numbers that they use in terms of data. And where I live, there's no denying that numbers are high. So we'll see what happens.
Not to mention that the Omicron variant seems to be hitting kids harder. Like hospitalization rates of kids under 16 is dramatically higher.
Yeah, and Omicron seems to just.
Can we at least get back to how everybody's doing first?
Oh, sorry.
Christ.
This is how everybody's doing.
And COVID, right? COVID
this is what's going on. What's up?
That's what I'm trying to say. This I want to hit. Can I hear the blessed side of y'all break? I just want to hear the good stuff. I get it. Everybody got COVID. Gotcha. I'm glad you're still alive. What gifts did you get? I know y'all like.
You don't even believe in gifts.
No, I believe in gifts. I don't believe in Christmas gifts.
You don't believe in Christmas gifts, so now you asking what gifts we got. You don't even believe in it.
No.
Okay, well, fuck your gifts then. Okay. I tried to be interested. You didn't want it.
Well, then you might as well skip me because that was going to be my whole story because I got COVID and it ruined my Christmas and my New Year's and everything.
Got you. Okay, what about you, Kellie?
Are you feeling better?
I still have some symptoms. I had the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, so it seemed to hit me more than my other friends because same thing with I guess everybody was it hit the comedy community pretty strong in South Florida. We had our annual comics Christmas party and a lot of people came out of that with positive tests. But it seemed like my other co-host on my other podcast, Gio, she got it, but she was asymptomatic. She had the Moderna. And then another friend of ours tested positive, but she was asymptomatical as well. But she had the Pfizer, and then I'm the one that got the Johnson & Johnson, and it wrecked me for like 5 days. Like, no, thank you. I'll wear your mask. I'll take your shot. I don't want that anymore. No, I still don't have any energy to do anything.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, I'll come home from work, take a 2-hour nap, and then still be exhausted the rest of the day.
dang.
Like, Yeah, it's no fun. No fun.
So I'll get to the blessings too. But I also had COVID over the break. So I tested
feel like
positive.
we should have pre-recorded this last year too. But this we should have gave y'all time to get over this shit.
So,
I mean, it's not y'all fault. I'm not like blaming y'all, but this is the worst intro we have ever had.
I'm trying to get to the blessing. You said you wanted the blessing. However,
I only want the blessing. I get it. You had COVID. It ruined it. I get it, Kelly.
Well, that's the topic of the thing today.
It's the vaccine.
That's the whole
and all
thing.
that.
We
But
all
okay, but that's what I'm saying. So why do we have to talk about it and how y'all are doing too? Let's just hear something good happen. You know, like
Right.
I got an Amazon package I was looking for. Something, you know.
Well, here's the blessing. I had COVID. My mother wasn't going to allow me to come home for Christmas unless I tested negative. My last day.
Why do you say that like she was wrong for that or something?
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's pretty. I would do the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, no, I got it. So like I said, so I'm talking about the blessing. So until I tested negative. And so the blessing was that I got my negative result New Year's Eve night. So about 8 or 9 o'clock New Year's Eve night, I got my negative test result. So I was able to go home for Christmas. At first, trying to get a test was crazy.
Christmas on New Year's Eve.
I said
No, you said New Year's Eve.
I did.
Christmas Eve. Gotcha. Okay.
Christmas Eve. Got it.
Christmas Eve night. My bad. So Christmas Eve night, I got the test, the negative test.
Gotcha.
So I was able to go home because it was funny. It was hard for me to get tested. Of course, right before Christmas, everybody was trying to get tested. It was a madhouse here. And at one point I stood in line for 3 hours and couldn't get tested. So I'm like, forget it. I'm just not going home for Christmas. It's just a day. It doesn't mean anything. I don't have to be with my family. I don't care. I did all this tantruming. But would have been sad had I had missed Christmas with my parents. I needed that after 2 weeks or 10 days of quarantine. And so that was a blessing. I was able to spend Christmas with my family. We had a wonderful time. My mom, my dad, my brother, my sister-in-law, my nephews. Then I was out in the streets, went to Topgolf, went to Six Flags.
Wow.
I figured I had COVID now. I'm out here.
We spread it around.
No, I was negative at that point. So so I had a good break. Officially went back to work in the building today for the first time in I guess about 3.5 weeks since I was out that whole last week. It was tough. It was hard getting up this morning, but I made it. And I made it to the gym. So I'm proud of myself today.
Look at you.
Yeah. Thank you. Blessings.
I appreciate it.
So I'm proud of myself today. So
that was a better story. That was a better story. I appreciate it.
On the positive side, I still got to at least spend Christmas Eve with my family, sort of, because I had arranged some rather big gifts, and I was like, well, I'm still going to be around for this, you know, because that was.
You didn't arrange a big gift for me.
Oh, well, that's true.
My feelings are, I feel some type of way.
Well, I had already done it for other people that, you know, are blood relatives. So.
He was sick.
He was like other people
anyway,
matter, actually.
So I ended up going to my sister's house for Christmas Eve, but I stayed outside for the most part. Didn't help. She ended up getting COVID anyway later from
for the most part. That's why. You stayed outside the whole time.
Right.
No. She got it from her boss later. But yeah, I did get to give my nephews a big gift that they didn't expect. I wrangled them a PS5, and so I got to watch them. I got to watch them open that. That was a big deal for me. So I was excited. Yeah.
I want a PS5 too, Terry. My birthday is March 13th.
Jesus Christ.
No. You are barking up the way wrong tree. You know, forget about the money. Like, those are just hard to get your hands on. So
we back at y'all birthdays already. Time is flying.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming. The March babies.
I feel like we just had you and Terry's birthday.
Well, guys, I'm doing fine. My break was I mean, I guess I'm not like y'all. Y'all didn't bother to ask me, so I'm I'm doing fine, guys. Unfortunately, COVID didn't wreck my break, so I I just was out here, fucking off like I always do. So, thankfully, for whatever reason, God is still protecting me from the vid. If I happen to get it one day, I mean, I don't know, whatever. But I feel like God protect me. To your point, Kelly, earlier, just like I've been out here raw. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's more deadly diseases than COVID I've been protected from. You feel me? So I just thank God for however long He decided to protect my stupidity. You feel me?
Okay, I was about to say now. In my head, I was trying to be like, Rudy, you really thought that was a good idea?
No. I'm not saying I do it now because of that. I'm just saying all of what I've done over my lifetime. I've definitely put my chances high enough where I could have, you know what I'm saying. But for whatever reason, man, he be looking out, because I've been an idiot. You feel me? I'm just being real. So yeah, man. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, or unhappy, whatever. I don't know what to say at this point. Let's just get into the topic because I'm officially depressed. I don't even know if I want to crack jokes right now. This is just.
I don't know if the topic is going to help even. The topic
No.
I mean, let's just do it. I mean, we're here now. We're here. You guys have sucked the life out of it.
This is what's going on in the world right
now. No. I understand. I take COVID serious. I'm just, trying to lighten the mood a little bit. But go for it. Go ahead. Tears on you.
Does God want you to have faith, or does He want you to get vaccinated? And the reason why we're going to talk about this is because there are a lot of preachers out there right now, a lot of churches that are saying, no, just trust God. And there are a lot of other people on the other side saying, well, what if God gave you the vaccine and you're not taking it?
Right.
So, and the reason that I wanted to bring this up so much is that my Uncle Tom is a pastor, and unfortunately, about a week before Christmas, he passed away of COVID after preaching,
against the vaccine or for it?
Against it.
Against it.
Yeah, about just having faith and relying on God, and him and his wife, my aunt, both got hospitalized. She recovered. He didn't.
You vaccinated?
No, neither of them were.
Okay.
Yeah. And now
you think God took him out for preaching that, or you think? I don't
think that at all.
Oh.
I don't think that God is vindictive anymore like He was in the Old Testament. But I do think that it reminds me, because here's the thing. Because now you have to put yourself in the position of one of His members, one of His church members.
Right.
Because here it is, for all this time He's been saying, just trust in God, trust in God. Right. Don't bother with medical science, just trust in God.
Right.
And now He dies of it. So you're kind of left ambiguous, holding the bag, Mm-hmm. So is it actually doing more harm than good to faith by preaching against it?
Or was it or does God know when it's your time to go, when He was going to die from COVID, vaccinated or unvaccinated?
So you're saying it's a coincidence?
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm just
I'm
just offering another perspective.
Well,
just another thought.
No, because the number of people who are even hospitalized after being vaccinated is, so severely minor, it's not even worth talking about. And the death rate is virtually nothing.
Mm-hmm. For people who are vaccinated.
Right.
But
it reminded me of the old church joke, right? And stop me if you guys have heard this before, but there's a man, and I've heard this many times in churches, so it's on brand, right? About talking about looking for God's will in humanity, right? So there's a guy drowning at sea, right? And he goes, I've always been a follower of God. I know you're going to save me. I know you're going to save me. Wait, hang on. Let me finish.
You heard it. You said it.
Oh, you've all heard it?
You've told us.
Okay. Now, I don't know. We've been doing this thing a long time. So, but yeah, essentially God sends him 2 boats and a helicopter, and he refuses because he's relying on faith. Mm-hmm. So is the vaccine a boat or a helicopter? And we're just too stubborn to see it.
But I guess go ahead, Rudy.
I just wanted to piggyback before, I don't know if he was moving on or not, but back to what you said in reference to if it was just his time to go and he was going to die that way. I was definitely going to bring up that question because y'all know how I feel about the whole free will and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But people in general, and I'm saying people because I'm not going to pin it on God or the Bible or whatever, but people in general, whether they're really strong Christians or even just in the world, like everybody always says, you don't know when you're gonna go, how you're gonna die, whatever, blah, blah. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you never know. Like you're here one moment, you go on the next. And so if God does work the way at least it was taught to me in the sense of death, then God did know that he was going to die from COVID at that particular moment. You know what I'm saying? But if that's not the case and God didn't know, and this was like I say, a whole free will thing, and he just made a decision not to get vaccinated and he preached against it, and then he just happened to die because of coincidence, during the same time that he's preaching it. I think that's two different conversations, I guess, if you will, because that's two different almost beliefs, to two different ways to
well, I guess the question I was posing is like, if you're a pastor in a position of authority that other people listen to,
right,
and then you preach against being vaccinated and people listen to you, and then you die of it and their faith is shaken because of that, are you helping the devil at that point?
Right.
Because now you're shaking faith. Now it's almost like being a heretic.
I mean, I do get what you're saying. I mean, I don't know the answer to that question, but I do think that, preaching against anything, is always going to be, I'm not gonna say risky, but it's always going to be, I guess, controversial. Because it's one thing to be a pastor, not get vaccinated, but you don't necessarily preach against the vaccination.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, that's one approach. But if you're actually saying, do not take it, do not take it, do not take it, I do think it's probably pretty important to, to probably have as close of guarantee of backup, to your argument, because if something does happen, it does make you look kind of, wrong.
Well, it's not even about being wrong. It's about shaking faith for others,
But that's just like, but bad things happen in the world all the time, and we say trust God. So I think like that whole thing is a shaky situation. Tragedies happen all the time, even if it's not like a COVID death, and we wonder like, why did this happen? But we have to trust God and believing that his plan was, was what it was, and it's just his will, and it'll make us better in life one day or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's people who go through some crazy shit in life, and I'm just like, man, how do you know what I'm saying? Like, why did they have to live through this? Why did they have to see that? Why did they have to whatever? But I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I'm taught all my life is trust God, because for whatever reason, this is a part of his plan. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Janessa, go ahead.
So in this argument or this conversation, I'm asking, I don't know, does the term, the concept faith without works is dead, does that tie into trusting God? Because, if having faith, without faith is impossible to please the Lord. These are quotes. In 2022, we're going to get better with actually naming them. But I know that's in the Bible. But to this conversation, if the works is getting the vaccine, like, is that to say that you have faith, or if you don't get the vaccine, is that saying you have a lack of faith? I don't know. I'm asking, just bringing that point.
Honestly, just so I can put it out there, I think this whole vaccine debate, I think it has nothing to do with God, nothing to do with faith, nothing to do with religion. It's just politics. because as soon as this thing got political, people picked the side, and I think they're using their faith as an excuse to justify their political position. That's where I think it really is. You know.
Do you by any chance know like the people who are using religion for why they aren't getting vaccinated? Is there like a scripture, or is there like some overarching message that the Bible has said?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
To why they aren't getting vaccinated? Because I've heard that, you know, you even heard in the NFL, some players trying to use, or even actors,
Right.
religion as a reason why they need an exemption, and judges and whoever the powers that be are like, yeah, no, you
Right.
can't get a religious exemption. And it's just, I just didn't know if y'all knew. Where did that even?
Well, the only ones I could imagine that could possibly make that excuse would be Jehovah's Witnesses, because there is certain parts of medical science that they're actually forbidden.
You're right.
The sharing of blood and things like that. But it doesn't. That has nothing to do with vaccinations. I was raised in a church, and when I was raised, I got all my vaccinations on schedule for everything. You know, and nobody talks about, when we say vaccine, we're only talking about this one. And it's just because it's new and people are scared of it and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, we all got vaccinated. If you went to a public school, you got vaccinated. That's it. You got, not only did you get them, you got a bunch of vaccinations, tons of them, you know, for everything from measles to smallpox. And as I used to be an EMT, and when I was doing that, there was additional vaccinations I had to get for tuberculosis and all these communicable diseases. It has nothing to do with vaccinations. It has to do with politics. That's it. Somebody politicized this issue, and now it's just politics. And you know how I feel. I've said it many times. When you mix religion and politics, you poison them both. You know, they don't belong together. In answer to Janessa's question about, is there a scripture about it? I am not aware of a scripture saying, you know, don't use something, have faith in God. I am aware of a scripture that says, do not test thy Lord. When somebody said, well, if you believe in God so much, why don't you go up to the top of the pyramid and jump off? And it says, do not tempt thy Lord. Do not test thy Lord. You know?
Yeah. So,
but simply saying that God will save me, so I'll do anything I want to do is ludicrous.
Right.
It specifically says don't do that.
Right. So for me, and I'm just speaking for me personally, I don't know what the narrative of or the consensus is of the masses of the world, but like when it comes down to just say God and medicine, I'm not against medicine. I don't think that, you know, Advil won't work. I don't think that, you know, whatever vaccines that you know I had to take in elementary school or whatever weren't effective, you know, whatever. Like I get it. I do, however, like especially after being in the Army and definitely being forced to take shots to even join the Army. I don't know what the fuck they should have shot in my arm. You know what I'm saying? But and then even like while I was active duty, like we were required to take the flu shot, you know, every year or whatever the case may be. Like
right.
So but by the time I was getting like hit with needles at any time in my life, either as a kid or in the Army, it wasn't necessarily like a decision that I made. Like I was just going through life and trusting parents as a kid, and then in the Army and just found out I had to get all these fucking shots, but it was just too late at this point. And so I'm just, I guess, trusting God even in then that they wasn't, you know, shooting no crazy shit in me. But now that I am kind of more aware of how things can happen and how you can put yourself in a position to just be taking shots and not knowing what it is, I'm definitely more cognizant of what I do take and what I do put in my body as far as medicine wise. And then my mom, we grew up on natural herbal stuff anyway. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have Pepto-Bismol and stuff in the house. We all had stuff from health food stores. We didn't have, you know, NyQuil or whatever. We had, you know, elderberry or antibio. These were all like herbal stuff. So my mom kind of been on that tip. But for this vaccine specifically, and this is how I kind of wrap up my whole spiel, I am not necessarily against this vaccine, feeling like if whoever takes it, you know, now has a microchip, and the people who don't, or whatever the case may be. Like, it ain't that deep for me. My initial reason for not taking it was because it is new, and I feel like, we don't even know really what the fuck COVID is yet. You know what I'm saying? So to have a vaccine that could, that I feel like, I can wait. You know what I'm saying? And then even over time, once I started knowing people personally who got the vaccine and then caught COVID 3 times, I'm thinking to myself, well, I mean, I might as well just.
They didn't die, and they didn't go to the hospital.
I mean, but I know people on both sides. I mean, I don't get into that because I know plenty of people who died with the vaccine, plenty of people who died without the vaccine. I mean,
no, you didn't.
I do.
No, you don't. You don't know one person that got vaccinated. Their name, everybody here would know their name. They would literally be one of the most famous people in America.
Are you serious?
If they got vaccinated and died, you're only talking about a couple of dozen people that have died after having the vaccination.
Well, so you tell me I don't know a couple dozen people?
Who? Name names.
Jesus Christ. If I name their name, you don't know them personally. If I name their names, how would you know them?
Well, I don't know, but that to me just sounds like
you trying to tell me that I don't know people who died with taking the vaccine.
I'm saying statistically, you're better off winning the lottery.
You're looking at the news, and I'm telling you people who I know personally or knew.
I'm looking at the numbers. So that's it.
These people died and were vaccinated, and there were other people who died who weren't vaccinated. There were other people who lived who weren't vaccinated, and there were other people who lived who weren't vaccinated. What I'm telling you is I have a good number of people on both sides in every category when it comes down to the whole vaccine and non-vaccine. So I'm not saying, for me,
you should contact the CDC.
I don't think either side for me isn't, it isn't. I'm not like weighed on either side of it. I am not taking it because of one side or the other. I'm not listening to the people who say don't take it. I'm not listening to people who say do take it. I just feel like I pray to God, like, if you want me to take this vaccine, then you know how to get me to do whatever it is that you want me to do. You know what I'm saying? And in my natural mind, the vaccine is not at a point to me that it is doing, because the vaccines that we got from school apparently worked because people weren't breaking out with whatever the fuck all that stuff was. But this, even with this vaccine, is still happening. So for me, I can wait until they at least get their shit together, because right now I'm just as in much, whatever as somebody with the vaccine. And if I die, to Kellie's point earlier and from the start, don't think I have control over that anyway. Whether it's from the vaccine, whether it's from a stray bullet, whether it's from natural causes, I'm just sitting here 32 years old, fall asleep and never wake up. I don't have control of that. All I can do is control when I wake up, and I just start making decisions from there.
That is a straw man argument. That's like saying, well, I could still die in a car wreck, so I won't wear a seatbelt.
Well,
you can still die in a car.
I'll keep beeping until I do, but
right.
I don't know what point you were making right there. I'm lost. I'm sorry.
I'm saying just because you say, well, I might still get COVID, so I won't get vaccinated, is a straw man argument. That's like saying, well, there's no 100% guarantees on anything, so I won't do anything at all. Like,
well, what I said,
trust in God, but lock your doors. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm trusting God regardless. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like,
well, trust God with your apartment and leave your doors unlocked with you.
Well, I don't have an apartment, so that's the
trust God with your money and leave it laying around all the time.
Leave it laying around. What are you talking about?
Just leave your money laying around and trust God to protect it for you.
But if it's in an account, people can still steal it. People hack it all the time. You still got to trust God. It don't have to be cash money.
But you put it in an account to protect it, yeah?
No, it's just what you have to do.
I think you know what I'm saying here, man. Trust in God, but lock your doors is a great Southern statement that should be tattooed on everyone's neck.
Okay, so then at what point how far does trust in God go then? Because as a Christian, God is who you trust. You feel what I'm saying? So like, if you're saying you're basically saying like, don't ever trust God. Go with the securities that were put on earth for you. And what I'm saying is, that's just not how I live my life. Like, do I lock my door behind me? Yeah, I do. But at the same time, I've went to sleep at night. It's all of us in the house sleep, doors unlocked, alarm off, everything. We didn't realize it until the morning, and nobody walked in. I mean, it's shit happens. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying you trusted in God on accident?
I'm trusting in God in every situation, whether I lock the door or not. You think a locked door gonna stop a burglar? Do you think people breaking in houses that's open?
No, and I don't think a vaccination will stop you from getting COVID, but it helps.
I mean, it probably does. I don't know what you want me to say. I'm just not gonna get it.
That's fine. And it's fine for you to say that, but don't use your faith as an excuse to justify it. That's all I'm saying.
My faith has nothing to do with it. My faith, that's what
I agree. Your faith.
My faith is it is involved with or without the vaccine, is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, I don't, because the vaccine isn't 100, not having the vaccine isn't 100. So what I'm saying is, the reliance on God to protect me in any situation. That's just like if I'm in a dangerous situation, I got a gun on me. That don't mean I'm gonna survive just because I got a gun. I can still get killed with a gun in my hand.
There is, in fact, you're more likely to get killed if you have a gun.
So that's what I still have to rely on God. Is my whole point. Period.
Exactly. So that's the question. Are you actually defying God by not using everything available? Are you showing your lack of faith by not trusting your fellow man who might know better than you? If you're trusting in God to keep you healthy, why can't you trust God with the vaccine the same way? Why is your faith tilted towards the thing you want it to be?
Well, it's not so much what I want it to be, because for me, I don't watch the news, so I don't even know the narrative being painted really about the vaccine, besides when I talk to people like y'all or whatever. Like, so for me, I literally go to God about everything. Like, you want me to do this? You know how to let me know if you want me to do something. If God told me to get the vaccine, I would get it. That's what I'm saying. This has nothing to do with me.
Has he told you not to get it?
He never told me to get it. That's what I'm saying. I prayed several times.
He didn't tell you to get it and not to get it. So I guess he's just leaving it up to you.
Talk to people anymore. So I mean, this is a whole different conversation. Go ahead, Kelly. I'm sorry. I know we've taken over.
I'm gonna say something a long time ago. Not relevant now. Relevant now. You know, we just let Rudy and Terry go on there. Terry and Rudy.
Well, I mean, I apologize, and I didn't mean to, but I just want to make my stance clear that mine is definitely not political. It's nothing like that. I'm just saying my life in general, whether we talking about COVID or not, it's gonna always boil down to I'm gonna go to God about me personally. I don't give a fuck what nobody else doing in the world. My dad as the pastor, I don't care what nobody doing. What nobody preaching, I don't care about none of that.
Well, for me, it comes back to that scripture. Do not test thy Lord.
How am I testing him? I'm going to him about me. I'm going to him for the answer. That's not testing him.
I'm not saying you are, Rudy. I'm not accusing you of testing the Lord. I'm saying that's the same argument, because I've heard this argument from many, many, many different people in my family, in my community. I've heard this argument over and over again. I'm trusting God. Well, every argument that I have heard could be made towards the other side as well.
Do you trust God?
Do I trust God? Yeah, but I lock my doors too. No,
so I'm saying it's a yes or no question. Do you trust God?
Yep. And when I have a heart attack, I trust God to get me to the hospital. I don't call a plumber.
You're giving me too much. It's just yes.
No.
Yes, you trust God. Yes.
Sure.
Now it's a sure. Okay. Gotcha.
Well, you wanted a yes or no.
And you gave a sure.
Okay. Yes. I don't know why the nomenclature matters.
Well, because I just wanted to know. I mean, it's because from your...
Well, you don't really have any choice. That's the thing. When you have no control over your life and the world and everything else. So you really have a choice. Exactly. The best thing you can do is use what God gave you, which is up in here. As my dad always likes to say, God gave you a brain not for you to sit on. He gave it to you for you to use it. And I think that a lot of people that have come through our society may in fact have been touched by God to be used. Jonas Salk comes to mind, the man who cured polio, comes to mind when I think about people that God may have used to better humanity. Because here's a man that cured the plague of the 20th century and then gave it away for free to everybody when he could have patented it and been one of the richest men in the country. Instead, he gave it away saying it didn't belong to me. It belongs to the world. And now polio is pretty much eliminated because of that one guy. So maybe God uses people to do his will. And maybe by fighting those people, you're actually fighting. Maybe by fighting those people that God is using, you're actually fighting God's will.
But that doesn't mean that everything that a man makes is good.
I didn't say that.
But I'm saying, so a man could make something for polio, but just because man makes something for COVID, that's two different vaccines. That's two different people. That's two different things. So
for me, it comes down to motive. It comes down to motive. What is the motive for creating something bad and calling it something good? There's no profit to be made. There's no power to have. You're not worth. You said microchipping. You're not worth microchipping, and neither am I. I mean, forget the fact that you carry around a microchip that I'm talking to you on right now. But who would want to possibly follow me to work and home every day? Like I'm not worth surveilling. It's just not.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I definitely think, like I said, I'm not against medicine. I just have, and I just want to make it clear. I always like to speak from my personal relationship with God. I mean, I look like everybody. I don't know what nobody else do. I'm not Moses. I ain't my daddy. I ain't y'all. Y'all ain't me. I'm just letting you know, for me, in my house, which is a lot of people's houses right now.
There's a lot of houses like that.
No, I said a lot, my house is a lot of people's houses, meaning that I stay a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a homeless joke. But the point I was making is that I have a very personal relationship with God, and so for me, whether it's the vaccine, whether it's anything, like I 100% go to and rely on God when it comes down to me making decisions, doing things, whatever. So for me, it has nothing to do with politics, me trying to defend whatever, me thinking medicine don't work, me thinking that the vaccine don't work. That's why I said I have my God stance, but then in my natural mind, I did make a decision where I might as well just keep riding the God wave, because it's not like I've got an answer from him, nor
well, it's not really going to apply to you anyway. You're a younger guy, you're in good shape, you're probably going to be fine. But
you've been taken out.
It's not that it affects you, it's that it affects the people you may accidentally through no ill will might actually infect.
But see, the person who I told you about who caught COVID 3 times got it from her vaccinated daughter. So I'm saying vaccinated people spread it to their vaccinated family members. And this was the daughter is my friend. That was her second time catching it, her mom's third time catching it.
Right.
So I'm saying the vaccine didn't stop it from spreading to a loved one, is what I'm saying.
Right. And I'm saying that when you talk to people, the people who say like, oh, maybe we overreacted to COVID, or I just think it's too much, or this or that. And I noticed that survivors always tend to have that point of view. Maybe if we could poll the dead, we might have a different point of view come through. Because right now, if my uncle was alive, I'm pretty sure he might choose a different path.
But I'm saying as far as the spread, you said like people should get vaccinated so that you won't spread it to others.
It does. It cuts down the spread by 93 to 95%.
I hear you.
Your shedding is less.
And I'll say this to that. So I guess in my experience, so I'm vaccinated. I got vaccinated back in first dose back in March, second dose in April. And I think it comes down to kind of like what Rudy said in terms of how the Lord speaks to you, what the Lord has said to you or hasn't said, or whatever. I knew that I needed to get vaccinated. And when I got vaccinated, there was this peace that I had, that I knew that for me, I did what was right. And so when I tested positive for COVID a couple of weeks ago, my symptoms were super mild. I just some congestion, tiredness, headache, but super mild. And so I was super grateful for my decision to be vaccinated, because I know people who have not been vaccinated. Actually, I just had last night the first true hit on my family in terms of COVID deaths. So I've known of COVID deaths, but the first true hit on my family happened last night with a family member that passed away from COVID, and she wasn't vaccinated. And so, and whether that played an issue or a role or not in her death from COVID, whether it was underlying conditions that she had, whatever played the part in her death, I knew for me, there was a piece at the time that I received the vaccination. And then there was a piece when I tested positive for COVID and I went through my 10 days of having COVID. Right. And that piece that I have, I see, I always try to see multiple sides. So I see the side of, I'm not going to get vaccinated. I'm a trust in the Lord. Like my question earlier that Rudy referenced in terms of maybe, unfortunately, it was your uncle's time. It was your uncle, right? Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom's time to go, whether it was COVID or, or whatever the Lord had already, when we talk about the Lord all knowing and all those things, the Lord knew that he was going to pass away on this day from COVID, before Uncle Tom was born. So like I said, so I see different ways. I'm an advocate and a proponent for COVID, especially after having COVID. I'm like,
wait, you're an advocate for COVID?
I mean, no, the vaccine. Thank you. Thank you for clearing it up for the vaccine.
I'm an advocate for COVID.
Everybody get COVID. But at this point, it seemed like a lot of people have COVID. But like I said, but it was something that I had to do for me. It's a when I talk to people about it, I don't do the back and forth typically. I did, after my own experience, say to a couple of friends that I knew that weren't vaccinated, hey, this is how I feel like the vaccine worked for me. This is why I feel like you should, consider it a little more, and then I kind of let it be. So like I said, so I think at the end, it comes down to how the Lord speaks to you, what your personal preference is, what you decide to do. And either way, you got to deal with the consequences. I spoke to a young lady the other day about it, when she was saying that she didn't want to get vaccinated because of the, she wanted to get pregnant. And I guess there was research, quote unquote, that was out at right, unquote, 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 or quote, end quote. What is it?
Quote unquote, you had it right.
Okay, quote unquote, about it impacting pregnancy and having a baby and all of those things. I know plenty of women that have vaccination, who've been vaccinated and had babies, and they've had to help.
You know one right now. No.
I'm like, you got something to tell us here?
Right?
No.
I was like, wait, what? Terry? You got to be ready?
No. Didn't make it all the way through, but did end up getting pregnant. So after both of us were vaccinated. So
okay.
There's no at least to me, there's no science to that.
Right. So people, so like I said, so I think it just comes down to a lot of different things. I can, in one part of my brain, I can understand that I'm a trust the Lord, and whatever happens, the Lord has predestined this to happen anyway. It was going to happen anyway. On one end, I can see that argument, that view. On the other end, I had to do what's best for me in terms of the vaccine.
But is it a helicopter or a boat that he sent to save you? And
I personally feel like, right. So I personally feel like, right, the vaccine was a helicopter, a boat, right, that was meant to save me. Like you said, when you look at the research, when you look at the numbers, when you look at the data that talks about deaths between vaccinated and unvaccinated people, that talk about hospitalizations from unvaccinated and vaccinated people, I definitely feel like that the vaccine has proven its benefits for sure. Which is why I have no regrets about taking it, having it. But like
I feel the same way you do, Kelly, by the way. That was the main thought that kept going through my head, was because I had 102 fever for like 2.5 days. It wouldn't break, sweats, chills, the whole bit. And the thing that kept going through my head was, even though I got the janky Walmart great value vaccination that is Johnson & Johnson, what kept going through my head was, oh my God, how bad would this have been if I didn't have it? Like, I swear, I was like, I'd probably be in the hospital right now if I didn't have at least some kind of protection. And I thought I was in decent shape. I take vitamins every day. I try to eat healthy, but
right. So when I look at like my grandparents, I'm grateful for the vaccine for them. In terms of, without it, could their body handle it? Like I said, COVID was mild for me, but it still sucked. I had a headache that didn't go away for about a week. Like I said, I was tired. I still have some random congestion and a tickle in my throat 2 weeks later sometimes. So I see both sides. And I think that at the end of it, and what I've talked to a lot of my friends about, vaccinated and unvaccinated, is I'm willing to deal with whatever comes from me being vaccinated. And I think the people who aren't vaccinated have made the decision of whatever comes from not being vaccinated, I'm gonna deal with that. Of course, no one wants it to end in death. Of course not. But I think that's,
I think there's some people are. I think there's some people that want that. Like,
they want to die?
No, I think there are some people that are so entrenched in their argument, no matter which side they're on. I think there are people who are anti-vaccine that say, I want to see somebody die with the vaccine, so it proves my argument. And then and then there's people on the vaccine side that says, well, I want to see unvaccinated people die because it makes my argument. Right. And I just look at these arguments, both sides, and I think, where is your humanity, man? Right. Like, wow, how have we? It actually reminds me of a scripture in Revelations that said, even the most pious, even the most holy men in the end of days will not be able to tell the difference between good and evil.
And so like I said, I feel like, like I said, I made my decision for me. Luckily I'm interested. I would be interested to hear the perspective of like a married couple, where one wanted to be vaccinated and the other one didn't. I think that's interesting. But
if they're that unequally yoked, I'm pretty sure they ain't married anymore. Possibly. Pretty sure they never even got married. That's got to be like a unicorn. I got my sister and her husband for Christmas in 2020. I got them a trip to New York. I said they need to travel more. And I knew that they probably, even at that point, they wouldn't be able to go and do anything unless they were vaccinated, which they ended up getting vaccinated to go on the trip. So.
And how was you said your sister recently contracted COVID from her boss. How were her symptoms?
Yes. Her symptoms are pretty much like mine were, but she only got the first dose of the vaccine. So I don't know how that plays into it. Gotcha. Yeah, but they just wanted the card so they could go and do things. And I look, I did my good deed for the day. At least that's the way I feel. So. Gotcha. Yeah, it's funny how when money comes into play, people start changing their minds. Like if I offered Rudy $1,000 to get vaccinated, Rudy, what you doing?
You wouldn't believe how much money I turned down to leave the army.
Okay, but that's not what I said. If I offer you $1,000 right now to get vaccinated, you doing it?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I turned down $80,000 to get out of the army. You think I give a damn about 1,000?
Wait, but did you get out of the army so you didn't have to get vaccinated?
No, this is way before COVID. I'm just saying in general. Like I'm saying, you offer me $1,000 ain't nowhere near what they offered me, and I told them hell no.
Okay, but what does that have to do with the vaccine?
That means
So,
your price
no.
was insulting.
Right. He was like,
Oh.
no, I'm not doing it for $1,000.
That's what I'm saying, yo. What the fuck am I gonna do with $1,000? I can get $1,000 on my own.
Well, I'm sure that you can.
You know what I'm saying? So why would I? That's what made me not want to take the vaccine.
Hey, my sister got vaccinated off a trip to New York, which is what we were just talking about. So
I mean, yeah.
that was around 1,500.
But
So.
this is what I was gonna say, because I don't know where it got cut off at, because somebody kicked the Wi-Fi out and my whole shit just shut down. But I just want to say this lastly, because I don't know where y'all left off. I do advise people not to really try to go off of, you know, what happens to other people, which is why I don't really try to get into it, because realistically, the vaccine as well as COVID, separately and together, seems to affect everybody differently. You know what I'm saying? Like it's everybody really has their own version of, I did this happened, I didn't do this, whatever the case may be. So the you know the and I'm not talking about the statistics that they report. I'm just saying like our personal, I know what happened to this person, whatever, because this disease it doesn't seem to have the same effect. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, I just think, to Kelly's point, when you make that decision for yourself, you have to then know or understand whatever can come with that for you personally. You know what I'm saying? Because it don't matter what happened to, Jim Bob. It's all matter what happens to you. Because whatever happened to them don't mean it's going to happen to you or not happen to you.
So, Rudy, let me ask you this, and I'm just asking because I don't know. Do you wear a mask? Like, do you feel like you should wear a mask, or you?
I wear a mask like when I have to. Like when I drive Uber, I'm required to or whatever. But I mean, y'all
Like my dad.
Y'all came to the comedy show. I ain't got no mask on. I didn't know.
So when you go to like the grocery store or to the mall or things like that, do you wear a mask? No.
I literally only wear it when I'm driving Uber, or if I'm doing even Uber Eats or whatever. Like I'm, dealing with people food or whatever. Especially if I don't want to be walking around in front of them holding a bag of McDonald's, and my mouth all out. They probably freak the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? People be wanting me to just drop it at the door or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I just. But when people get in my car, some people.
But maybe they're trying to protect you, because when I had COVID, I had delivery drivers bringing me food, and that's what I did. I told them all I would just crack the door and I'd be like, leave it.
It's a requirement by Uber though. That's what I'm saying. Like we had to take a picture with the fucking mask on before you start driving. So it's a thing. But I'm saying, but even when people get in my car, like some people like they don't have their mask, they be like, oh man, I ain't got no mask. I'm like, man, I don't care about that shit. I just drive.
Right.
So are you concerned that, you might get it and you might be fine, but
you're infecting other people?
Might get it and they might not be fine?
What's your social responsibility? Do you feel it's a social responsibility to try and protect others?
Yes, but I also don't think that the vaccine is that. I think the vaccine helps with the if you get COVID and not dying and whatever. But as far as the spread, I don't think that protects others, is what I'm saying.
Well, but masks and sanitizer and washing your hands frequently, that does protect others.
Oh, well, washing hands protects me as well. I mean, I'm putting my own hands.
Protects everybody. Plus, we're gross people, and we all need to wash our hands more often.
Right. I wash my hands, but that's just the thing with me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I do more sanitizing now, like just to have it on deck. But
because of my job, I had a ton of it in my car anyway, because I got to go into these people's houses, and some of y'all are nasty. So, like, nothing like going through a rat-filled attic to really make you want to sanitize your hands when you're done.
You probably just want to bathe.
Yeah. So I was already prepared for that particular aspect.
I want a whole bath if there's rats in that motherfucker.
Well, you got what you got in your car. So
this may be off topic, but I'm just gonna share this because we're talking about COVID. I think the hardest part of having COVID or getting that positive test result is having to make those phone calls to everyone that you're around to say, hey, I tested positive. And to have to think that, like, you know, and I've seen like a lot of TikToks and memes and videos and stuff about, you know, getting the call that you've been around someone that's tested positive. I think that's the hardest part. And then
that's what social media is for.
Right, you know, and I made personal phone calls for the most part. I made personal phone calls. And then I was at a party, which is where I think it spread. But I was the first person to get tested. And, you know, and I sent that in a text message because it was a couple of us, but I did everything personally. It wasn't that many people. Luckily, most of them weren't, other than the people in the party, but that wasn't on me. Otherwise, most of the people that I came in contact with did not test positive for COVID, tested negative, which was great because that's the hardest part. And I think that's my fear, especially like the anxiety. And again, this is another reason for the vaccine that I'm glad my parents have a vaccine while I wear my mask. The anxiety that I have leaving my parents' house, leaving my grandmother's house, leaving, you know, those for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week, you know, and hoping that I didn't spread something to them that I can recover from that may be a little harder for them. I think that's the hardest part of COVID for me. When I went home for Christmas, I didn't wear my mask. Like I said, I had just tested negative. I didn't wear my mask. I went home New Year's Eve. I wore my mask the entire time. Because at that point I had been to the gym. That's really all I've been. I've been to the gym, to the grocery store with my mask on. But it was still like, I don't want to spread it to others. So that, like I said, for me, that was the hardest part. Like you said, that I don't want to ever expose anyone else to this. If I had it, you know, once it took me an hour or two to process it. But then having to make the phone calls to others, I was grateful that my grandmother wasn't on that list. My dad was, but like I said, I was grateful that, like I said, my grandmother wasn't on that list, or my mom wasn't on that list, but my dad, you know, whatever. So,
wow. Okay. Dad, whatever. Gotcha.
No. I said, but my dad wasn't, so he would have, he could have infected my mom.
Right. Like, well, whatever. He was on the list.
No. Like my dad was,
wow.
but he could have, but he could have, you know, he could have infected my mom, which would have killed me. Even if it was mild, even if it was, you know, something they recovered from in 10 days, like to know that I passed COVID along to my parents would kill me. Even now, like.
But I'm saying, you didn't do anything to do or not do it. You get what I'm saying? Like it just happened.
Correct. Like, yeah. And even the party that I went to where, I mean, and this is, I guess, to your point of vaccinated people spreading it to vaccinated people, Rudy, the party that I attended where it spread, it was 7 or 8 of us and all of us were vaccinated. Right. You know, and it still spread. Now, all of us had mild symptoms and were able to recover at home and it, you know, and we were fine. But like I said, it spread, you know, it did spread between vaccinated people. But I think, like I said, again, back to my point, personal preference, personal relationship with God, how you know, what gives you peace and allows you to sleep at night in terms of you getting vaccinated. But I do think, in Terry's words, there is a social responsibility to others.
But I'm saying, but how do you fulfill that? Because to your point that you're just making, it's not like the vaccine is the end all be all to serve that social responsibility of not spreading it.
Well, let's cover one thing here real quick that has not been covered. The majority, when they talk about flattening the curve last year, when they were talking about reducing this, it's not about reducing transmission. It's all about reducing hospitalization, because when you overwhelm the hospitals, when you overwhelm our medical system, people who don't even have COVID are now getting put at risk because there's no beds, there's no nurses, there's no services, because all this effort is being put on people that shouldn't even be there, because they had a perfect antidote to being hospitalized by this, because that's what it's about. It's about not overwhelming our medical system, because once that happens, if there's no beds in the end, If there's no room in the inn and I have a heart attack, now I'm getting second, third tier treatment because we're just overwhelmed. And that's the part that nobody seems to be really recognizing, is it's just about staying out of that hospital. You know, is it a perfect cure? No. But will it keep you out of the hospital? Statistically, 99.4% of the time it will.
I mean, sure. Yeah.
And that's what it's really about at the end of the day. Because yes, if you've had cancer twice and you're unhealthy and you have diabetes, like a person I know that died of COVID, yes, you know, you were one of the more susceptible people to it. But on the other hand, you know, a perfectly healthy 10-year-old girl in Texas died of it that I happen to know of. So it's really, like you said, it's all up in the air. It affects everybody differently. All we can do is maintain social responsibility to do what we need to do. The whole thing just makes the part that makes me angry is the bullshit arguments and lies. That's what I don't dig on. I hate when people say it's like communism or it's you know, this is like Nazi Germany, blah blah blah. That's nonsense. I mean, George Washington had a vaccine mandate for smallpox. You couldn't join the army unless you were vaccinated against smallpox. Like, it has nothing to do with freedom. It has nothing to do with religion. This is you and your opinion, which is fine. I'm totally fine with you making whatever choices you want to make. You're on your own journey, but don't feed me nonsense and expect me to swallow it.
By the way, I don't know if y'all seen the movie Don't Look Up, but it was pretty hilarious. Kind of painting a picture of all that stuff.
Well, that was about climate change, but yes, it was hilarious.
Well, it was a little bit more than climate change. It had a lot of
no, according to the director Adam McKay, he's been trying to make that movie for 10 years about climate change.
But I'm saying, but yeah, it had a lot of undertone. But I mean, it's not that.
It's applicable to the situation, sure. Yeah.
No, I'm saying, I mean, it ain't even that deep to go into. I just was bringing it up, but. All right, this has been a long enough episode.
Nothing was solved.
Well, I mean, it's never going to be.
Janessa spoke like 0 words.
You wanted a part 2, so we gave it to you. I mean, this is, you know, I mean, this conversation is going to be like this, whether it's us 4 having it or another 4. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like,
I agree with that. It's people have chosen the hills they're going to die on, metaphorically and maybe literally.
Well, Kellie, hopefully you have a good memory, because you're not going to have your.
I don't.
You're not going to be able to have your stuff up on the screen today. So.
All righty. So church announcements. Church announcements. So on Instagram, follow us on Instagram at The Worst Ones PK. New content coming. 2022 is going to be a different year, new year, great year. So come check us out on Instagram. In terms of watching us, in terms of listening to us, in terms of engaging with us, in terms of the podcast, The Worst Ones, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast, make sure that once you get there, you like, comment, share, and subscribe. To our 100 million followers, thank you for coming into the new year with us. 2022 is going to be better than 2021. I am excited. In terms of my personal profile, one day I have been struggling in 2022 with making it public. When I tell you, I have reached out to like
get the vaccine, but you can't get a public ID. But you can't get a public Instagram.
I've been struggling. I reached out to Janessa.
Instagram ain't gonna keep her out of the hospital though.
Right. Kellie did reach out to me, but I'm proud of her.
If she would have had her Instagram open, she would have had a man, and he would have been there while she had the COVID taken.
So she don't need a man. How about that?
I did it up. Never stop. I needed a man. I need a man.
You notice he didn't say that about me.
But no. So at Princess Kels 51, we are. It may be public sometime before this podcast drops. That's the plan.
Go ahead, Janessa.
Well, y'all can find me at Melanated Brews for all things coffee, tea, and beer. I've actually been going to some coffee places, coffee to go. But me and Chris went to this place called Awake Communities in Conyers and love it, y'all. Like, I'm not even joking. And I never like reviews or, you know, fluff up reviews. If something's bad, I usually just won't post it. But this place, super cute. It's kind of like, have you all ever heard of like WeWorks or the gathering spot, that type of concept? Like you can rent rooms. It's really like that plus a coffee shop, but the coffee shop was there first. So there's like upstairs, downstairs, you can rent rooms to do work. They sell all sorts of local goodies. They have these really cute like photo op places throughout. They had like a Christmas theme. They had like a study area theme. They had, you know, the exposed brick, all the natural lighting. It was really nice, and the coffee was delicious. So that's going to be my next post on Melanated Brews. Check them out, Awake Communities in Conyers. And if you want to follow me on my personal page, it's JRiana, JRIANA _.
Hey, Terry Wayne.
It's Terry Wayne Comedy on all social media platforms. If you want to come argue with me about your vaccine theories and whatnot, I'm more than welcome. You will not be you can stalk me. You will not be the first. I had one stalker on there that got pretty intense. When my family started posting about my uncle that had died, called me a liar, told me to show pictures of the body, and that's why I hesitate even talking about this kind of stuff, because it's such a furious argument. So come and argue with me. I'd love to know what you think if you make a reasonable point.
Okay. And yeah, man, at the podcast official page, we're still doing that, still rocking and rolling. Last Monday of each month, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom, 815-0999-499, It's actually the same system we're using right here because I fucked up, all right? And StreamYard, StreamYard played me, and so we got to figure that out. But we should be back by next week, as long as they don't, try me like Google, because Google hiding. Okay, how does Google not have customer service? You go to them for everybody else customer service number. You look on them for theirs, it don't exist. How does that even work? But anyways, and Rudy of All Trades is also on all my social media. I was able to change that on Facebook as well. So YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff at Rudy of All Trades. But most of all, we appreciate you for watching this, listening to this. This was our part 2. This was actually, I'm sure, an extended episode. This definitely went a little bit longer, but I mean, to Terry's point, this is.
So is COVID. COVID is going extended now. So that's actually kind of makes sense.
3, right?
We're into year 3 now. Well, almost, but yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah. Good enough for government work.
Let me wrap this up for the word COVID gets mentioned again. We're out. I appreciate you guys for listening.
Top of the world.